Hey everyone, and a huge shout out to all of Mr. Cheese students. He sent us on a mission to help you absolutely nail one of the trickiest topics in grade 11 geography. We're going to look at how these incredible landscapes like the Karoo are born and how they eventually vanish. So stick with us because by the end of this, you're going to have a brand new geography superpower. And when you do, you've got to thank Mr. Chi by following him on all his channels. All right, let's dive right in. To really get how these amazing landscapes are built, we first have to look at the ingredients, what they're actually made of. So the main character in our story today is horizontally layered rock. I want you to just picture a giant layer cake. Seriously, it's made of different kinds of stone, all stacked up perfectly flat, one layer on top of the other. This super simple foundation, this layer cake, is the starting point for some of the most spectacular scenery you'll ever see. Now you take those flat rock layers and you let millions of years of wind, rain, and ice go to work on them. Well, they start to form a very specific and pretty famous type of landscape. And that's how you get the Karoo landscape. It's known for these incredible flat-topped hills that we call mesas and buttes, and they're just sitting there in the middle of these huge flat plains. But here's the thing, they aren't just random hills. They're actually the last survivors of a landscape that was once way, way bigger. Which brings us to the big question, right? How in the world does nature take a gigantic flat plateau and just carve it up into these smaller, lonely hills? It's an awesome question, and believe it or not, the answer comes down to a single, really powerful process that just works away day after day for millions of years. And that engine, the process that drives this whole transformation, is called scarp retreat. You might also hear it called backwasting. This right here, this is the secret sauce we need to understand. Now, scarp retreat sounds kind of technical, but it's really just a fancy way of saying that the steep edges of the cliffs are constantly getting worn down, which makes them literally move backward over time. Think of a sculptor just slowly and patiently chipping away at a giant block of stone. As the edges get chipped away, new shapes are revealed. Well, that is exactly what scarp retreat is doing to the landscape. And what's so cool here is that this massive process really breaks down into 3 simple steps that all work together. Okay, so first, you've got weathering, rain, ice, wind that attacks and breaks down that hard top layer of rock. Step 2, you have rivers down at the bottom that aren't just cutting down, they're eroding sideways, which basically undercuts the slope above. And then finally, step 3 is mass movement, like rock falls, where all that weathered, undercut stuff just collapses and falls away. It's this 1-2-3 punch combo that makes scarp retreat so incredibly powerful. So, with that in mind, let's actually look at the life story of one of these landscapes. It's like we get to flip through a photo album that spans millions and millions of years and watch the whole thing evolve, step by step. It all starts out as a massive, high plateau. And the most important feature here is a layer of super hard, resistant rock right on top. We call it cap rock. And it acts just like a helmet, protecting all the softer rock layers underneath it from being worn away. Okay, so fast forward a few million years. Rivers start to slice down into that plateau, carving out these deep canyons. And that's when our key process, scarp retreat, really gets to work on the canyon walls. It just eats away at them, widening the valleys until a huge, isolated chunk of the original plateau is left standing all by itself. And that is what we call a mesa. But, of course, the process doesn't stop there. Scarp retreat keeps on attacking the sides of that mesa from every direction. So the mesa just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until it becomes a much smaller but still flat-topped hill. This little guy is what we call a butte. And finally, the day comes when that protective caprock helmet is completely gone. It's been totally worn away. And without that protection, the softer rock underneath gets eroded much, much faster. It gets rounded off and ends up as a simple, conical hill. And even this hill, given enough time, will eventually wear away into nothing. So a question Mr. Chi students often have is, what's really the difference between a mesa and a butte? This table breaks it down perfectly, but here's the easiest way to remember it. A mesa is massive. Its top is wider than the hill is tall. A butte, on the other hand, is much smaller, kind of like a little button of a hill. It's often taller than it is wide. Massive mesa, button butte. Got it? So why does all this matter? I mean, why is it so important to understand this story? Well, because it gives you a completely new way to look at and understand the world around you. It's pretty amazing. I mean, this quote from your study guide says it all, doesn't it? You now literally have the power to look at a landscape and not just see a bunch of rocks and hills. You can actually read the story that's been written into the land over millions of years. You can look at a hill and ask, hey, why is it shaped like that? And you'll actually know the answer. Think about it. Knowing this process means you can stand in a valley and almost see the ghost of the huge plateau that used to be there. You can understand exactly why that butte in front of you looks the way it does right now. And you can even predict the future. You can imagine the empty plain that will one day take its place. That is a true geography superpower. And hey, if this explainer helped you have that little aha moment, the absolute best way you can say thanks is to support the person who made all this possible, Mr. Chi. So head over to his Instagram, his TikTok, his Facebook, and his YouTube channel. Go follow, like, and subscribe to everything. Seriously, go show him some love. Thanks so much for watching.